I swear this time I'm not going to make a OnePlus 8 joke. It's 9 by the way. Just saying. Hey everyone, Mukul here. So obviously you get better camera sensors and setup on the OnePlus 8 Pro, but I was really impressed with the kind of pictures Poco X2 takes to. The Poco X2 or the Redmi K30 are the same phones, so I'm going to refer it as Poco X2 in this video. So when a friend recently bought the OnePlus 8 Pro, I poked him till he gave up and let me compare the X2 with his 8 Pro. And some shocking discoveries were made during the rigorous testing we did together in fear of Corona getting into the sensor of our eyes. Wow, we have a biotech expert right here. Okay, let's start with the daytime shots first. The X2 is crushing shadows way more than the 8 Pro, but that is making the 8 Pro look brighter. The details are absolutely the same on both. The impressive ultra-wide of 8 Pro proves its worth in these shots. Just no comparison when it comes to details. The 8 Pro's ultra-wide sensor is the main sensor of the OnePlus 8 and OnePlus Nord, so no surprises here. The 2x zoom on the X2 was actually as good as the 8 Pro's 3x zoom. Yes, the X2 has over-sharpened the image more, but it won't look bad to most. So again, similar results here. And yes, you're going to see a lot of that water tank in the next shots. In these next shots too, you can see how better the 8 Pro shot looks overall. That sweet 8 Pro sensor surely behaves excellent in challenging dynamic range situations. But you can notice how well the X2 preserves the details on its shots. There is noise, but it definitely is impressive. Well, something like this cat threatening the dog here. In these 2x and 3x shots respectively, the 8 Pro's picture and details looks better, but the X2 isn't doing bad too, considering it is 1/3 the price. Also, for some weird reason, I couldn't stop imagining someone crashing on top of here with their butt. That's just too much Final Destination, dude. The color science of both the phones is totally different. I'm not commenting on that as this can be a personal choice, but in my experience, the white balance of X2 was accurate in some cases and the 8 Pros in some cases. Well, that's weird but true. We have anyway not discovered aliens yet, so don't expect camera tech to be this damn perfect anyway. The portrait mode was over-sharpened on the X2, but no matter what, it wasn't full of details on the 8 Pro either. But clearly the details on the X2 were better. And let's not comment on the edge detection of the bokeh here, it was really okay on both of them. The macro shots captured on the X2 are lower in resolution. Guess it tries to crop a picture more in an attempt of stabilizing the shot. But the 8 Pro's shot had more natural look to it. In my opinion, both shots are good if you don't zoom and crop the X2 shots. These shots were actually interesting. The X2 shot was somehow able to capture more range in this shot. Even though the colors of the sky look more vibrant on the X2, it's the 8 Pro where the grass is greener on the other side. I mean this side. And the details captured were better on the 8 Pro on some areas and better on the X2 in some areas. So yeah, overall kind of a well-maintained equilibrium. See, I told you, we got an expert biotech engineer right here. And quickly checking the panorama shot, the 8 Pro was able to capture way more details with light on its shot. The faster processor is at a huge advantage here. The front camera shots were quite similar on both of them if the X2 just stops its over-sharpened processing on the pictures. The results were quite similar on the portrait front camera shots too. So yeah, good competition by the X2 here in daytime shots. Let's see some video samples now. And this is how the video quality is from the rear camera at 4K 30 FPS. The Poco X2 has a way weaker processor on it, but even then the video didn't look as if you are paying 1/3 for this phone. Even the dynamic range was fine on both. The stabilization was just a tad better on the 8 Pro. And this is how the video quality is from the front camera at full HD 30 FPS. The stabilization on the 8 Pro was definitely better in the front cameras, but I don't understand why the X2 has this weird habit of crushing the shadows. I mean, a little post-processing can fix some of this, but who has the time for that in the world where you get chicken biryani in a box that can be cooked under 30 minutes? That's just not legit. The mic on the X2 isn't bad, but the 8 Pro captures more punch to the voice. This slow-mo video at 240 FPS was also better on the 8 Pro. Strangely, I couldn't find a 960 FPS on the 8 Pro for the slow-mo. which is weird as I have seen many phones do that now. Yeah, with crappy details on the video, but hey, if you can put many useless camera sensors on a phone just for marketing, you can add these features too. The X2 had a 960 FPS option to record slow-mos on it. Now before I begin the night shots, you would see on paper the IMX 689 should just crush the IMX 686. But the universe and its coded processing had some other plans. This shot is without the night mode and wow, X2 doesn't look terrible at all except for that tiny noise in the shot. The shot on the X2 looks a little more stabilized too. But I did notice something whilst taking the shots on the 8 Pro in low light scenarios. The 8 Pro in low light does take some time in processing the shot even when it's not taking in the nightscape mode. So it definitely does some extra processing or just opens up that aperture for more than a few seconds to capture all that light in and fails to hide it from the user. From a user, not from me though. And once I switch on the night mode, everything just pops up. The 8 Pro's processing is definitely more natural, but damn, the X2 shot isn't bad too. I mean, for an average consumer, they won't even care for the differences here. If I wasn't comparing the Poco X2 shot with the OnePlus 8 Pro here, I would have had almost no complaints about the phone's camera at its price. But yeah, forget the ultra-wide performance here. This wasn't even the night mode on the 8 Pro, and you are just lucky that you are able to get that good at comparable pictures from the primary sensor itself from the Poco X2. Don't be so greedy, man. Just don't. And honestly, even the X2 and 3x shots respectively look comparable from both, which was again a surprise. The macros as expected are another story though, way better on the 8 Pro. But in night mode the pictures came out comparable even though they were just a little better on the 8 Pro. These standard shots are absolutely comparable. There is less noise on the skies on the 8 Pro shot, but don't forget it is being compared to a device that is 1/3 of its price. And this is third time I'm saying this. Even the night mode looked good on both till I noticed a little blur on the X2 shot as I zoomed in. I should have taken more shots actually. Sorry for trying the ultra wide again though, but yeah, they are there for you to look. Wow, clearly a pro poser. Yeah, summers and heat do all that to me. Clearly the shot here is better on the 8 Pro. The IMX 689 definitely proved its worth here. So human subjects from the rear cameras are processed better on the 8 Pro. But really, who cares for humans? Nobody takes pictures of people anyway. And no, I'm not on Instagram. Or am I? But just look at that portrait. The 8 Pro just fails to capture details and more light on the shot. The Poco X2 isn't winning any awards here too, but at least you can see stuff on its shot. I hope OnePlus definitely fixes this in the future. The front picture is definitely noise-free on the 8 Pro, but the X2 does a decent job too. The details are quite comparable. The portrait shots from the front camera had a similar story. However, the screen flash was processed much better on the X2. Even though the background is more visible on the 8 Pro, the point of using the screen flash was illuminating your freaking face here and not those trees. Let's see some video samples now. And this is how the video quality is in low light from the rear camera at 4K 30 FPS. You can go ultra wide and even zoom on the OnePlus 8 Pro, but you can't do the same on Poco X2. Notice how jittery the X2 video was. Blame the processor here. The details on the 8 Pro was better too. But could you notice? The X2 managed to capture the extremely dim sky in the background like how the 8 Pro did. This is how the video quality is at ultra wide. The OnePlus 8 Pro is obviously very sharp and more details on it. The ultra wide had a similar story minus a little less visibility on far off subjects. I'm extremely sweaty right now thanks to the extreme cold weather here. And this is how the video quality is from the front camera at full HD 30 FPS. Surprisingly, Poco X2 isn't bad when it comes to the camera quality from the front camera overall. I think I should now return the phone to my friend. He has had enough of this. And surprisingly, the Poco X2's front camera in low light was actually able to capture a brighter face with more details on it. Vloggers, rejoice if you vlog in the night. So there you have it. If you own an X2 right now or are planning to buy a phone in that budget, things are quite clear that how much of a capable camera you are about to own. I actually never imagined they would be so close with respect to each other, but all this really makes me wonder if the IMX 689 will eventually get even better with updates in the future. I mean, it has to. Otherwise, if you spent all that money for the greatest setup on a OnePlus flagship right now, and the results are this close to a device which is 1/3 of the price, then I would say Fwah! But yeah, those other features and a faster processor on the OnePlus 8 Pro does give you more worth for your money. But why should I care about it? This was a camera comparison. I'll be making a long-term review of the Poco X2 soon. It's been long since I've been using the phone on and off for about 2 months now. Hit a like and sub with the bell if the video helped you. Stay safe and avoid going out for the silly camera comparisons. What? That's all for today. Mewbot out. This is my left hand.